A long time ago, I was stuck in a loop, several loops in several areas of my life, not just in my relationships, but also in my career before I became a full-time entrepreneur. And these loops that I'm going to talk about today actually affected how I responded in conflict. And it even affected the way that I talked to myself inside my head. Sometimes I would think I was being strong, or I would have this perception that I was being responsible or a good person or altruistic. Sometimes I thought I was just trying to keep the peace. But what I didn't realize is that I was unknowingly playing out the same roles again and again until one day someone introduced me to the drama triangle, which maybe you've heard of. When I really started looking closely at the way that the drama triangle affects everything, it took me by surprise. You may have heard of the drama triangle in literal dramas like television shows or movies, plays. There's three different roles that are classic. Well, from a psychological perspective, the drama triangle was created by a psychiatrist named Stephen Karpman in 1968. It's a simple model that really looks at how we get locked into conflict and confusion without ever really realizing it. There are three basic roles in the drama triangle: the victim, who is obviously saying things like, you're hurting me, or why does this always happen to me? The persecutor, you can imagine, is always blaming someone, saying it's somebody else's fault, maybe even blaming the victim or blaming society as the problem. And then there's the hero. We all love the hero of the story, right? Also known as the rescuer. And they're commonly saying, let me fix it for everyone. Here's the kicker. We all cycle through all of these roles, especially when we're under stress or in transition, and oftentimes when we are seeking validation, whether that be from within or without. And any business owner, any high performing professional can recognize this. The triangle might show up in ways like this. As a victim, we might say things like, oh, I'm exhausted. No one understands how hard I work, all the hours I put in. The persecutor might say things like, my business partners never listen, or my employees are not doing a good job. Why should I even bother? And it might turn into a response like, I'll just do it myself. Let me take that on. I'll fix it. I'll make it better for everyone. And it even happens inside of our inner dialogue and the way that we treat ourselves when we don't meet impossible expectations. So this triangle, whether you recognize it or not, is the architecture of disempowerment. Staying in this triangle will keep you out of your own power. It will keep your own power out of reach. Because when we're trying to rescue someone else instead of turning within, when we're trying to blame somebody else for how we feel, or when we're trying to blame somebody else and say, I need rescuing, it's going to be incredibly disempowering. Okay, so how do we step out of the drama triangle and into personal power? Well, we stop reacting and start reclaiming. It starts in the body, then we harness the breath, and that'll allow us to really be present so that we can watch the mind with curiosity instead of judgment. So let's start in the body. This is your invitation to ground before you react. So next time you feel triggered or accused or invisible, just pause. feel into your literal feet. Maybe that means pressing into the chair. Bring yourself fully into your body so that you can be in the moment and out of the drama triangle. You can even ask yourself a simple question like, what's touching the chair or the ground right now? Said a different way, something that you'll hear me say a lot. Where am I being supported? Where am I being supported? Because when you're present in the body, you can no longer be stuck in the past and making predictions about what's going to happen based off of dramas that are stuck in the past. So that's the body. Where am I being supported? Is a really simple question to get into literal embodiment. Second is your breath. You can literally interrupt that downward spiral with your breath. We can only breathe in the now. We can't breathe in the past. We can't breathe in the future. So one tool that I absolutely love is just a long, audible exhale. You inhale into your nose for a count of 4, and you exhale through your mouth with a sound. 6 seconds, 8 seconds. This audible exhale is a signal to your nervous system. It says we're not in danger, we're safe, and we can choose a different path. Okay, so you've got your embodiment, which is where am I being supported right now? Your breath, which is that extended exhale, maybe with an audible sigh if you can. And then let's get into that third level of resilience, your mind. This is where we can invite curiosity instead of judgment. Instead of labeling yourself, labeling the situation, labeling someone else, stepping into that persecutor role, we can get curious and just ask, which of these 3 roles might I be in right now? And what does it look to take my power back and step outside of this drama triangle? As leaders, this is how we reclaim instead of react. It's not by controlling others, but by literally reconnecting with ourselves. So I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts. You can ask yourself right now, where in my life can I already recognize that I'm playing the victim or the persecutor or the hero? Sometimes we cycle between the 3 very quickly. Another question you can ask yourself is, what has being the hero cost me over the years? What does being the hero cost me in the end? And another question is, what's one moment this week that I have left this week where I can take a moment and pause and ground and choose differently? I'd love to hear your responses in the comments. And if this gave you even 1 ounce of clarity or calm, I invite you to share it or save it. Your future self or somebody in your circle might thank you later. I do go live sometimes with simple shifts to help you reclaim your power. So I'll see you next time.